Two angles. Okay.
Here we go.
We have a subject.
Good.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right.
Okay.
Pitch, man.
Pitch?
Yeah.
Yeah, pitch for the pitch.
Well, I'll interview you.
Okay. That makes
Give me a good question to start with. Okay, why are you here?
Why am I here? Because I'd like to talk to the constituents of Gene Green, not Gene Green himself in particular.
Right, of course.
Because the economy has crashed, and the people are frustrated that they're losing their jobs, their homes, and the healthcare question becomes a focal point by which they see their quality of life, their standard of living, and it's an attack on them because they see this healthcare bill as what it is.
Being an attack on their health?
As an attack on their ability to live. Because what Obama's put forward is not a healthcare policy, but a cost-cutting policy. A policy to trim what they call the fat, which is mammograms, which is colonoscopies, which is unnecessary care.
Definitely mammograms.
Well,
for culling the fat.
Because Obama's not a woman, I guess.
He's not a woman?
Not a woman, no.
Okay,
maybe you didn't notice.
So your perception is that people perceive what the president's trying to do is to take away their health care, or to take away their money, one or the other.
Well, both.
Both.
But
so he takes the money,
they might perceive they're trying to take away their money, etc., etc. What people perceive is that they see the writing on the wall. How many job losses are occurring every week? How many foreclosures are going on every week?
That's the regular babble, though. Right? I mean,
No, but that's true. That's true. That's what's happening. And so they've latched onto this healthcare question as a target of their disappointment in the utter failure of this government right now.
So they're being deceived by the argument.
Well, I don't know what you mean by that. You have to...
They've latched, when we say they've latched onto something, in other words, they've been deceived by this kind of phony argument.
Well, they've latched onto this as a legitimate concern that, look, what Obama's proposing
among many, right,
is a Hitler-style healthcare plan. We're going to have
Hitler-style.
Yeah, that's the cover of the pamphlet, right? We got Hitler admiring Obama.
Well, did they have good healthcare in Germany?
No, they had a TMAC.
What's that?
They had a T4.
A T4 health?
A Tiergarten 4, where you had a health board of a few individuals who were dictating what was going to be covered.
Okay.
If you're old, if you're terminally ill, right? If you, as an individual in Nazi Germany, starting in 1939, were a drunkard, an invalid, terminally ill, or otherwise, you were subject of being euthanized.
Okay.
Why? Well, because Hitler had started a war with
I kind of know about
Poland,
eugenics,
right? And the eugenics part, exactly. Now, what is Peter Orszag? What is
so? How do you feel about Medicare?
Medicare?
Yeah, that's what we're to talk about.
Well, see, what I would
see, we want to. This is a petition to all socialized medicine.
Okay.
All socialized federal.
I agree with
so we
that.
want to. Once we get some momentum
going. What about
going,
John Conyers' bill?
We want to get
for all.
Who's John Conyers?
John Conyers.
No. We got this thing rolling, man. Once we get rid of this thing, we want to get rid of Medicare and Medicaid.
Oh, but why?
Why? Because it's socialism. You can't be like a little bit socialist. You can't be a little bit pregnant. You can't be a little bit socialist. You're either a commie or you're not.
So, wow.
So, I mean, any of this collective stuff, I mean, we're Randians here,
Randians? Ayn Randians?
Yeah, and so
you're crazies. So you would kill somebody.
Come on.
You would kill somebody.
Ayn Rand is crazy?
Well, yeah, because, if the free market won't provide a bottle of water to a person in New Orleans who's, had a hurricane pass over them, the government can't do it because the government can't come in and help somebody.
No.
So we're going to have to let this person die because the free market doesn't have a chance to get in there and save their life.
Actually, if the government would have gotten out of the way, the free market would have taken care of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Walmart had a better distribution system than the U.S. government.
I know.
But what happens
between them and the crazy Mormons?
But see, under your laws of so-called supply and demand,
I'm just telling you what happened.
So-called free market supply and demand. Well, water is now scarce in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina.
No, you just take a hole in the ground.
So the bottle of water that you're going to drink is going to cost $25.
And
that's the going rate. But I'm a poorer person that just had my house flooded and a hurricane blew it over, and I left my wallet on the nightstand, and I can't afford that bottle of water. You know what, sucker? You go die because you don't have money.
Okay, so what's your solution? To have more big, fat government?
Well, what you have to do is look at the Constitution and look at the historical context.
Dude, you're starting way back too far.
Oh, I'm starting way back too far. It's called our history.
What are we going to do it now?
I hate our history as a country.
No, we already know.
No, we don't. That's a lie. We don't know that stuff.
Okay, ask me a question.
People think that the taking down of the National Bank that Alexander Hamilton set up was a good thing. So they don't know their history.
Taking down of it?
Like, for instance,
he rolled over everybody with that thing.
George Washington. Why did George Washington agree with the National Bank? Was he not a real American? Was he not a real patriot? He signed into law the National Bank.
Yeah, well, he was Thomas and Jefferson and Alexander were fighting over that. He took Alexander.
Right. Now, why did he side with Alexander
But who
Hamilton
ended up with
over
their head
Thomas
blown
Jefferson?
off?
Well, that was an assassination on Alexander Hamilton. Aaron Burr was a traitor working with the British.
They were all working for somebody.
Well,
All of them, you
no,
know.
Hamilton-
Jefferson was with the French, and
No, Jefferson
Of
was just
course he
confused.
was.
Jefferson was just confused because he's
And you're not? Come on, we're all confused.
no, not.
That's why we should get rid of this mental health care.
I'm
Screwing us
not
all up.
completely jaded like you and think that the human mind can't know anything. The human mind can know things. And Hamilton knew that you had to have a national bank in order to pull together the debt of the 13 states newly formed that were bankrupt. And you use that debt pulled together to as a certain collateral, good faith and credit of the United States to start building things like the Erie Canal.
So you're
To start
like the
developing-
opposite of the guys of the guys that are against the bank, the National Bank.
I'm for the National Bank.
From the National Bank.
I'm a Hamiltonian.
How refreshing! I haven't heard anybody for that in a long time.
Well, but that's what. So
You're a very conservative gentleman.
So the question you have to ask yourself is, why did George Washington side with Hamilton over Jefferson? He said, no, Jefferson's wrong, Hamilton's right. We need a national bank.
But
Why did he do that?
They
Why?
were into more infighting than your average fraternity.
Sure,
or,
I know there was infighting, but I'm asking you a simple question: what was the philosophical, patriotic drive that Washington said we need the national bank? Jefferson's wrong, Hamilton's right.
An attempt at pragmatism.
It's just that simple. You think? Just pragmatism? He didn't have any.
I don't think it's.
Have you read Hamilton's report to Washington on why the National Bank was constitutional?
I think I read both sides. I think I read Jefferson and Hamilton both.
Well, I was
a little more Jeffersonian.
I know.
This is getting really dull.
But I would say,
come on, you got to get up there and say something controversial here.
No, because this is the fight we should be having. Why did Washington side
the National
with
Bank?
Hamilton? Without a return to a national bank today,
Okay.
we have
what
no.
does this have to do with healthcare?
It has everything to do with healthcare, because if you don't have an ability to run a nation, how can you have healthcare?
Taxes?
Well, okay, but you're going to tax things. What are you going to do with those taxes? What's the intention of government in general, I guess is what I'm getting at.
To go away.
Here you go.
The intention of government is to go away.
Yes.
Well, that's a kind of an oxymoron, a paradoxical.
No, look. I mean, I was into constructions, and you know, you build a building, and the whole concept of construction is to work yourself out of a job. That's what government should do. You know, whereas they would finish it, make it beautiful, walk away, it's done. No more job anymore.
Well,
You've succeeded.
Just to throw a curveball at you, this is the scientific flaw in what you're saying.
Scientific
Flaw.
Okay.
Because the universe is not fixed. The universe is not a contained box. There is no finished product amongst human society. There is no finished product where humanity just says we're done. There's always more to be done. There's always a growing population. There's always water to be generated. There's always healthcare that is needed. There's always more construction. Like, for instance, we could get to Mars right now.
Why?
Well, on just a basic level, you can put every American to work, reindustrializing the American economy.
Oh, so that
right. But on a more
that's a Keynesian.
But right. But on a more philosophical level, it brings up the question of what is the nature of man.
And you need more healthcare because everybody would be full of radiation too.
Radiation, a certain amount of radiation is good for you. It is.
I know. I realize that.
So
it's good for my skin. Look at him. That's how he got all brown.
So the point is
measured
that
radiation.
philosophically,
It looks good too.